The next generation of African security sector leaders programs continues to be a timely and significant program in preparing the participants, to work together and with the United States as we work together to confront the security challenges we all face on the African continent. As you know from the wide breadth and depth of this program, these security issues are complex, multifaceted, and respect no borders. And it is only by working together that we can begin to counter and solve these problems that affect both the United States and the continent of Africa. Now, I know you've already heard a lot about AFRICOM earlier this week and gained, hopefully, a better understanding of some of the different types of programs and exercises we have, but I'd like to leave you with a few other key points as you go, because there are still some misperceptions about what AFRICOM is and what we do. As many of you know, President Obama laid out the 4 pillars of our strategy, the U.S. strategy in Africa, and they were strengthening democratic institutions, spurring economic growth and trade, advancing peace and security, and promoting opportunity and development. And AFRICOM's role in this is founded on the twin pillars of our command, which are a safe, stable, and secure Africa is not only in the interest of our African partners, but in the interest of the United States as well. And secondly, most important, it is only Africans and our African partners that can address African problems with uniquely African solutions. So in doing so, the principal purpose of my command is to support you in building the capabilities to address the challenges that you all face on the continent, and to do that both in an individual sense and a collective sense. I'd like to provide a couple of examples of what we do on the continent, and some of them hopefully will surprise you. The first is U.S. AFRICOM, in support of the United States National Action Plan on Women, Peace, and Security, promotes the inclusion of gender-sensitive policies as a part of all security force assistance to increase the professionalism of your forces. AFRICOM partners with the African Center for Security Studies and the government of Senegal to review gender policies in the Senegalese armed forces. And this initiative was at the request of the armed forces of Senegal because they understand that a more inclusive military is a more effective and professional one. Another example is in our assistance to the African-led effort to bring to justice the Lord's Resistance Army leader Joseph Kony and his senior lieutenants. As many of you know, President Obama has directed us to assign a small group of special operations personnel to support our African partners, specifically Uganda, South Sudan, the Central African Republic, and Democratic Republic of Congo, in pursuing and capturing Joseph Kony. Our role is not to be on the ground to do this job ourselves. Our role is merely to assist our African partners in doing this themselves. And that is another very significant example of how we are here to help you, not to do it for you. The recent coup d'etat in Mali has helped us to rethink how we engage with all of you and what skills we emphasize. Currently, United States AFRICOM is working very closely with the AFISMA Force Commander and his staff in Bamako. We are helping to train and equip the international force so that they may take over from the French and help to provide peace and security to Mali so that the Malian government may continue to pursue its reconciliation. I'd like to talk a little bit about my thoughts on military leadership and tell you a little bit about myself. And when I think of being a military leader, when I look at all of you and I look at myself, I'd like to tell you a little story about what inspires me as a military leader and what I think a military leader should be. And it also speaks to the question of, can one person make a difference? And I think they can. One of my heroes is he was a commander of a revolutionary army, and this revolutionary army fought a 7-year war of independence against an oppressive colonial power. It was a tough war, a brutal war, a very dirty war. And at various points along the way, this particular military commander was often at odds with the party committee, who was giving him direction on how to fight the revolution. So after 7 years, they finally defeat this colonial power and they kick them out of the country. And so the Army's camped, but the Revolutionary Committee is arguing and they can't decide what to do. And most importantly, the Revolutionary Committee is having trouble paying the soldiers in the Revolutionary Army. And so the soldiers are angry, their officers are angry, and they're talking. There's a lot of discussion about a coup d'etat and overthrowing the Revolutionary Committee and having the Army take over. And so they hold a secret meeting, and they don't tell the commander about it, but he finds out about it anyway. And so the commander goes to the meeting of the officers of the Revolutionary Army as they're yelling at each other and trying to decide how they will foment the coup d'etat and planning the coup d'etat against the Revolutionary Committee. And their commander goes in, and everyone gets quiet. And he takes out of his pocket a pair of reading glasses, and he puts on his reading glasses. And he says to his officers, "Excuse me, gentlemen, I have grown old and weak in fighting this revolution." And everything is quiet. And he tells them, "I understand some of you are very dissatisfied. I understand some of you would like to take over and to foment a coup against the Revolutionary Committee, and there's even some discussion of making me the new military dictator. But I'm here to tell you, gentlemen, that I will not take that job. And if we are to mount a coup d'etat against the Revolutionary Committee, then what have we fought and died for all these many years?" Yes, there are problems with the Revolutionary Committee, but if you have problems, put down your gun, take off your uniform, argue and work with the Revolutionary Committee, vote them out. Now, you may do what you wish, gentlemen, but I will put down my gun, and I'm going to go home. And at that point, his officers, who had been yelling and screaming about a coup d'etat, they were silent, and they started to cheer their commander. And they said that they would go home if he went home. And they did. Now, that commander's name was George Washington. And that story I told you is true. You can look it up and you can read it. His officers were camped in New York, and they were angry because the Revolutionary Committee, Congress, had not paid them. And they were talking about a coup d'etat. And not only did they want to make him dictator, they wanted to make him king. But instead, he told them to take off their uniforms and go home. And they did. And for me, as an American soldier, that is the essence of leadership. And if you ask yourselves the question, can one military officer make a difference? Can one military officer be an oasis of integrity in a desert of corruption? Then I would answer yes. One person can make a difference. As you return home to your families and your daily work, to your profession as a military officer, I hope you will take the time to reflect on what you have heard here and what you have discussed with your classmates, and to consider whether the ideas you've discussed here have applicability to your lives as professional military and security officers. I hope you will take the time to think about how being a professional in the military and having a professional military organization and all its meanings can help you and your countries navigate well through the obstacles and opportunities that lie ahead. I hope you will leave here knowing that you have resources to help you on that journey. Resources in the relationships you have made with your fellow students, with the educators and speakers at the African Center, and for those of us who work at US AFRICOM. We at AFRICOM like the African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. We, all of us here, the Africa Center, AFRICOM, we want to go far with you. We want all Africa and its countries to be peaceful, prosperous, and stable, economically independent, self-sustaining, and we want that because it is in the best interest of the African continent, the nations in Africa, its citizens, and the world. And we believe being a professional military officer can assist in creating, supporting, and building that peace and prosperity. We also believe that you, as individuals, are a vital component of that professional force. Finally, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, the man who led India to independence using nonviolence. The great Mahatma said, "Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny." I'm not sure that the great Mahatma would have expected his words to be used to inspire and motivate soldiers. But it seems to me that these words, are the very foundation of a professional military officer. So as you all leave to fulfill your destinies, I thank you for your time, for your attention, and for everything that you do. And I hope these 3 weeks have been useful to you. I wish you all safe travels home, and I would like to leave you with the thought that we are here to work with you, we are here to help you, we are here to be your partners. Thank you all very much.